Like I'm reading through the directions and it's like wrap the yarn around the bag, and I'm like, that's just a knit stitch, isn't it? Am I losing my mind? Am I doing something wrong? Like it's so much detail that it's making me anxious that I am misunderstanding something because I don't know why somebody's trying to explain to me how to do the knit stitch. To episode 36 of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I'm your host Kristen, and I am here to talk to you about what else? Knitting and all things knitting related and knitting adjacent, and maybe not so knitting adjacent in some cases. So if you don't know me already, my name is Kristen Janik. I'm a semi-retired knitting pattern designer, a translator, and an all-around knitting enthusiast. I live in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C. with my husband and 2 little boys. And if and when I am not knitting, you can find me vegetable gardening, doing yoga, watching Orioles baseball, drinking wine, but it's mostly about the knitting, so let's go ahead and start talking about it. The big news is obviously my Ursina is done, and I'm actually wearing it. This is the first project that I have completed for my Make 9 2021. I completed it about a week ago, and I am very happy with it. So I'll go ahead and stand up and show it off a little more. All right, so you can see I knit the cropped version, but I did add about 1 inch to it. So it sort of hits right at my waistband. I'm very short-waisted, so if you are thinking about knitting this, cropped version is probably going to fit you a little bit differently. So this is the size 3. She has 10 or 12 sizes in the patterns. This is the size 3, right around 40-inch finished measurement, and I'm wearing it with about 3.5 inches of positive ease. Is that right? No, 4.5 inches of positive ease. So I didn't really make any major modifications other than, like I said, I added just about 1 inch to the length. And my row gauge was a little bit off, so I knit the armholes just a little bit shorter than called for in the pattern. The only other change I made was in the back. The triangle is supposed to mirror the front, and I changed it just a little bit so that I have a column all the way down the back. And then just at the very bottom, I made a teensy little triangle at the back instead of the whole thing. And that's really the only change I made. And I am very happy with it. My Ursina is knit in Knit Picks City Tweed Heavy Worsted / Aran. Now the pattern calls for a worsted. And I'm pretty sure I told this story on a previous episode of the podcast where I was originally intending to knit the original Ursa pattern, which is for a bulky weight yarn, and I was just going to redo it myself to match this yarn that I had already bought. And then she came out with Ursina, which includes both a sport and a worsted weight version, but not an Aran weight. So I ended up having to go up, I think, 2 needle sizes from the pattern and knit on a US size 9. So it works really well. I'm really happy with the fit. I am very happy with the fabric, which is nice and comfortable. The City Tweed has a little bit of alpaca in it, so it is nice and soft. I know this does have a tendency to pill. I've knit a sweater in it before, so I will certainly be keeping an eye out for that. So I finished my very first selfish knit for 2021. I'm my very first project from my Make 9, which, if you don't know, are 9 projects I anticipate making this year, and I believe my Make 9 includes 3 sweaters. So 1 is done, and I am very excited and happy. Of course, soon we will be getting into weather that is not so sweater appropriate. So my next few Make 9 projects, I think, are going to be some of the lighter projects and smaller projects that I have picked, and we'll probably leave off these sweaters until probably the early summer, because even though it's hot, that way they'll be finished and ready to wear in the fall. So we shall see, but 1 project done for my Make 9. And so since I did finish this, I did go ahead and start a second project from my Make 9. This pattern is called Vintage Prim. This is a brioche hat pattern from Andrea Mallory that uses 2 colors of fingering weight yarn. And I, was it this past year? Or was it the one before that? Well, whatever. Either at the early part of 2020 or the late part of 2020, I did yarn clubs from Fiber for the People for both of those. And for one of them, I got all fingering weight singles. More pictures. So, as you may know, fingering weight singles are not great for hats or socks, but they are great for a lot of other things. So I'm using one of those fingering weight singles, and I double checked, and this colorway is called Garnet from Fiber for the People. And I am using a second fingering weight single. This is called Thistle, and this is from Wool & Boon. And I have started on my hat. I really love brioche, and I wasn't that enamored of it when it first started becoming popular, but I actually find the process of knitting it a little bit addictive because I just love to see, and I'm not generally speaking a process knitter. I'm really a product knitter, knitting because I want the thing. But for brioche, I really enjoy the process of how things come together. So you can see this kind of like staghorn cable pattern is taking shape here. And then of course, you can flip it inside out and see the mirror on the other side. So this is going quite well. There are almost 4 full repeats of the stitch pattern before you start the crown decreases, and I have done just 1. So I'm about 1/4 of the way done the main body of the hat. And there are both charts and written instructions, and while for other things, cables, I prefer charts, for brioche, I really prefer the written instructions. I'm sure if I actually, took the time to teach myself the charts, and I've even written up some brioche charts before, but it's like a whole nother language, and I just don't, at this point, I just don't have the patience for it. I'd rather just sit there with the written instructions, so that's what I am doing. So on one section of the hat, it is this pattern, and then on the other, it's just this 2-color garter stitch. So I really love the way that these colors are working together, and I'm really excited that, of course, I certainly don't need, oh man, this is like 800 yards of yarn, which I'm not going to need for one hat. So I should have plenty left over for another project, and be using these 2 colors together. So, oh my goodness, I'm unraveling here. So that is the next project that I have started for my Make 9. I am not in any rush to finish it. It is the middle of March. Hat weather is quickly disappearing. So it is no rush, and I am working on a fair few other projects. I did actually finish 4 whips for my Finish Fix Frog 2021 journey, and I will go ahead and put the thing in here to link to my most recent vlog about that. I finished my younger son's baby blanket, I finished my non-Euclidean socks, and I finished my older son's Leo jacket. And so I recently vlogged about that, as well as some mending that I took care of, even though I really don't care for mending, and I'm not particularly good at it either. So if you want more details on that, go ahead and click that link that popped up and hop over to the latest vlog, or you can find a playlist with all of my Finish Fix or Frog vlogs that I have done so far this year. But even aside from that, I still have a bunch of other stuff going on. So I recently, I don't know what I was thinking. I swatched for this project ages ago and just finally decided to cast on. And this is almost as far as I got. I do have the other saddle, the saddle shoulder pullover. And I hadn't actually gotten a lot further. I had gotten through most of the shoulder shaping on the back before I realized that I had misinterpreted something in the pattern. And I had to start over. So that's kind of a bummer. It wasn't tons and tons of work. It's just that this is a very involved series of stitch patterns in combination with short row shaping. So it was a lot of time invested, even though it wasn't a lot of work. So I am knitting Cleo by Elizabeth Doherty. I'm going to knit a cropped version, so it'll be a little bit shorter than that. And again, cropped sweaters on me generally are not all that cropped. I just don't have any pictures of the cropped version in here. Anyway, so this is a saddle shoulder pullover. You are knitting these saddles first, and then you are working the back shoulder and back yoke, right shoulder neck shaping, and right front shoulder neck shaping and such. Is that a good picture? And then join in the underarms to work in the round. This pattern is very comprehensive. But to be honest, I feel like it's maybe just a little bit overwrought. And I just find that it's a little bit easier than I would like to get lost in the details and have myself kind of questioning if I know how to do a knit stitch. Like I'm reading through the directions and it's like, wrap the yarn around the bag. And I'm like, that's just a knit stitch, isn't it? Am I losing my mind? Am I doing something wrong? Like it's so much detail that it's making me anxious that I am misunderstanding something because I don't know why somebody's trying to explain to me how to do the knit stitch. Presumably if I have bought and am attempting this pattern, I at least know that much about knitting. So it's fine. You know, I know some people appreciate that level of detail, particularly new knitters. I just find it's a little bit easy to get lost in it, and I don't personally care for the way things are laid out. So I did have to rip out because instead of using a standard kind of explanation for how to do the short rows, she was using a little bit different terminology that I have not seen anywhere, and I just misinterpreted it. So I'm definitely going to continue with that, but again, I'm not in a rush. I'm certainly not going to finish it to be able to be worn before it gets warm here in Maryland. We already had some 70-degree weather last week or earlier this week, since today is Friday. And it's fine if it takes me a while to get through that. It is really fun to watch it come together, and you can really tell how much work the designer put into just, you know, getting the short row shaping exactly right for all the sizes. It's very well done. So that is on the needles. I also finally cast on the socks I promised to make my dad for Christmas, last Christmas. This is the Pierogi slippers pattern from Sarah Jordan, aka PA Knitwit. And I don't think I printed out a photo, did I? Oh, I did. Let's see if you can, there. So this is what they look like, and you can see they have this folded over cuff that goes all around, and it looks really big at this point, but it's actually because once you're done with the short rows, it's kind of gonna go shaped like this to rise up across the back of the ankle, and then the actual ankle goes in here. So I did start that. And fortunately my dad wears, I think, a size 10, which isn't terrible, and they are, you know, shorty socks. It shouldn't take too long. I am using a yarn whose name I've already forgotten. I know the brand is LINDSEY, and I just picked this because the pattern actually calls for a sport weight yarn. And I wanted something sort of very dad-ish. So this is a pretty, basic gray yarn with just a few tweedy flecks in there. So I just finished the joining row for the folded over cuff. And the next part is some short row shaping, and I primarily didn't begin that because I did not have a stitch marker handy. But I will hopefully be making more progress on that because the last time I saw my dad, he did show me the IOU that I gave him for Christmas. And dads are almost as good at guilt as moms are, so I am feeling pretty bad that I haven't made much more progress than that. And then the last thing I think I have on the needles, other than some of my Finish Fix Frog whips, is a new test knit. Right, so this is a new test knit for Jessie Mae. It was not my intention to start more test knitting, but this project was sort of in the vein of the last test knit I did, which was for her outline tank, and I thought, why not keep going? So I'm using a different yarn this time, but still a plant fiber. This is Quince & Company. Don't know. Damn. Quince & Company. Something I'm going to put on the screen. I don't have the tag. It is a cotton linen blend. So unlike when I did the outline tank, that cotton linen blend had a little bit of, it was cotton silk, linen silk blend, had a little bit of wool in it, and I wasn't sure how best to handle it because of the wool. This is just cotton and linen, so this can be machine washed and dried in the dryer. And I really love this color, this kind of marled look, heathered look. And it looks a little bit open now, but this is going to shrink up a little bit. And my plan will be to machine wash and dry this in the dryer until it is just damp, and then lay it out because my swatch did get a little bit wrinkled in the dryer. The fabric is good, but it did kind of like bunch up and get wrinkled in the dryer. So I'm definitely going to be taking it out to block flat so I can get more control of the shape, but the dryer really helps that soften up, and the machine washing as well. So that is the other thing that I currently have on the needles, and I think that's it. All right, when I finished my outline tank, I thought it would be fun to figure out how I was going to style it and then go ahead and do a little segment here on the podcast. So I'm not going to like walk a catwalk for you or anything. I went ahead and took still photos to show you 3 ways that I came up with to style my outline tank. All right, so we will just go ahead and pop the first photo in here. And in this case, I think this is a cute look for spring. This just is a skirt I happen to have in my closet. I'm never really sure what to pair it with. I don't want something super drapey and oversized because the skirt is already kind of, you can see that it flares out. It is a little bit oversized and it's a long skirt, but I'm also not a fan of like super close fitting tops, generally speaking. So I think that these look really cute together. In the photos, I am wearing the outline tank with a strapless bra, just for the sake of the photos. In real life, I would probably go ahead and use a lacy bralette, the kind that is actually meant to be seen, sort of peeking out from under your clothes. I think that would look cute. But since I wanted these photos to be nice and clear of the finished object, I did not do that in this case. But like I said, I think that would be a cute match as well. So I think for really early spring, you can put like a little shawl on your shoulders. But here we tend to go from spring to summer really fast. We get like winter and spring battle it out for a couple of months, and then it's summer. So by May, there's a good chance that it's either like still cold enough for a sweater or it's 90 degrees, but we never know which it's going to be. But by kind of around Mother's Day, I would generally be expecting to wear this kind of sleeveless top, and I think it will make a really cute outfit for, well, I guess none of us are doing much of anything, but we're getting there with the vaccine, and we might actually have some late spring, early summer outdoor distance masked events that are possible, and this would be really cute for that. Now I will go ahead and throw a photo in here of my second styling idea. This is a jersey dress that I got a couple of years ago. That's really cute for summer, but as with jersey, it's kind of it's a clingy dress because jersey is a clingy fabric. And thank you, pandemic, I'm not quite as svelte as I was a couple of summers ago when I was wearing this dress more often. But putting the outline tank over it gives you sort of a thin layer, so it's not like extra bulky and uncomfortable, but it maybe covers up a few spots where you might have a few I might have a few skin bumps and rolls that maybe I don't really want to highlight in this dress, and so I'm just getting a little bit more coverage from the tank top. But since the tank top is also a pretty minimal layer, you're still seeing plenty of the dress. It's very comfortable and airy. I really like this combination for the summer. I think it's going to be really cute. Now, I don't know how that little teeny bit of wool in the yarn is going to translate into warmth in the summer. It's 12% wool, so I don't know. It may not be noticeable at all, or maybe it's just going to be too hot, and I don't know because it's only March. But hopefully, I think this is going to be a really cute outfit that I will be wearing in the summer, particularly when we are at the beach, which I am very much looking forward to, but is not until early part of August. But definitely, if you've got maybe a little sundress that doesn't cover up quite as much as you would like, you can kind of mix it up with this top, get a little extra pop of color, an extra layer, and still look really cute and not like, you've just randomly layered a bunch of stuff on and now you have expanded this way because of all the layers. They're both thin layers and it looks really cute. All right, and then the last look I put together, so if it is still cool where you are, this is a really great tank top to wear under an open front cardigan. Because the open front is still showing off those drop stitch details on the front neck and the body, and then you're still getting your warmth from your cardigan. So I am wearing it with my Uma Margot cardigan, which is an open front cardigan. And I think it looks really cute together. I'm obviously, wearing some corduroys. Generally speaking, though, I'm wearing jeans, and I think that will look just as good. You, like I said, are still able to show off the details. You're getting plenty of coverage from the cardigan. Definitely you want to pick a cardigan that you've knit in something pretty soft that you can wear right next to the skin. But if you want this to be a good transition piece that you can wear when it is still cool out, I think that's the way to go. And again, I would probably wear this with a lacy bralette or a camisole or something underneath if I wanted a little bit more coverage. So, if I'm going to end up taking the cardigan off because I get too warm, I'm still not, quite as exposed as the tank top is on its own. So those are my 3 in my humble opinion, adorable styling ideas for my outline tank. All right, I actually haven't done a stash flash in a while, but I have been buying some yarn. So you did see the yarn that I was showing you for my new test knit. That is one of the new yarns that I bought. I also did a pre-order for some yarns. And in fact, I thought I had only pre-ordered one color, but I actually had done two. So when I got the mail that said your yarn has shipped, I got a nice surprise that I was actually getting 2 yarns. So I did a pre-order from Coast to Coast Yarn in December, and that arrived at the very end of February in these 2 beautiful colors. So this one is called Douglas Fir, and I got this in a DK weight. I'm sure I had a reason at the time. I don't remember what it was anymore. So her DK weight is just 100% superwash, 100% superwash merino, kind of your pretty standard squishy DK base. I really love all the colors in here, brown, green, white, kind of blending together. Again, I probably end up using this in some kind of 2-color something or other. Cowl hat, something like that. So I just really love these speckles. You can get a little bit of kind of a red purple in here. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And then the other one, this is called Woodpile, as you might imagine, with these browns, but these are really kind of like almost purple browns in here with these speckles. I think this is really beautiful. I have no immediate plans for it. But when I went to pre-order, I specifically went to pre-order the Douglas Fir, and I saw it on her Instagram, and then I just happened to find this. So this is her twist sock, which is, again, 100% superwash merino, 400 yards. No nylon in this, so chances are I won't end up using it for socks, but we shall see. And again, all these beautiful, I really love how much you can do with brown sometimes. It really just runs the gamut of colors. So I just found these yarns on Instagram. I think it may have been one of those rare occasions where Instagram actually recommended I look at something I was actually interested in. So I don't know much about the company other than, she is based in Kansas, and that's what it says right on the label. That's primarily why I know that. She is doing a club right now, which is kind of a month to month. That I kind of thought about doing, but decided to hold off just because I knew that since, I'm not designing anymore and I'm going to be doing more selfish and personal knitting, I knew I'd probably be buying more yarn this year, kind of intentionally for myself and for projects, and I didn't necessarily also need the addition of kind of mystery yarns. And so far, everything she has done for that club, which I think is inspired by mushrooms, which sounds odd, but it's actually working out really well. Everything is really adorable. So I will include a link to her shop in my show notes. And in this episode, I will try to remember to actually do the show notes. But wait, there's more. There's more yarn. So as I said, I think this year I'm going to be buying more yarn intentionally for projects. And so I did go ahead and buy yarn. Oh, here's that label for the Quince & Company. It's Quince & Company Sparrow, and it's actually all linen. I thought it was cotton and linen. All right, anyway. So I bought the yarn for what is probably going to be my next Make 9 project. And this is Dapple from Brooklyn Tweed. So this is going to be for my next Make 9 project, the Ridgeview Tee by Carrie Bloomer, aka Carrie Knits. And this base is 60% merino, 40% cotton. So this is going to be kind of a late spring wear. Like I said, here in Maryland, it'll be 40 degrees one day, 80 degrees another until it's summer, and then it's 95 degrees every day. Well, 90 degrees with a heat index of 95 to 100 degrees. So I was looking for a base that was not 100% plant fiber, a little bit of wool, and this is what I came across. So you can see these are not exact matches. They take the dye differently. And so the actual idea is that it looks a little bit, you can maybe take the skeins that you have for your project and arrange them from light to dark or dark to light, so you kind of get a natural fade going. Mine are actually not too bad. I mean, this one is pretty obviously darker, but so looking at the photos online, there were definitely some far more distinct differences in the colors. So this color, I don't know if it's on here or not. I don't want to take the label out because then I'm going to lose it. Fine, I'll just do it anyway. Okay. This color is called Medallion. And again, this is a DK weight yarn. I think it is going to be really cute for the Ridge VT. Even if it doesn't actually end up fading from one color to the other, you can see that the merino and the cotton take the dye differently, so it has a little bit of a marled, heathered look, which is going to be really cute. So, and then what I did is I placed an order. You will likely recall there has been a lot of problem surrounding Quince & Company and the way they have been treating some of their employees. So we're encouraged to take a step back from them until they have resolved some of these issues. However, there are a lot of companies that have existing stock that are going to be suffering because of that. So there's a list of companies that pledged to separate themselves from Quince & Company until those issues were resolved, that Layla Raven put together, who had existing stock, and she was encouraging people to shop from those companies. So because, they're trying to step up and do the right thing, but we also don't want them to lose out because of something they already have in their shop. So I went there to purchase the Quince & Company yarn, and then I also decided to buy some yarns for the other projects. So that's also where I got the dapple. And then the last thing I got was this this is kind of a purpley brown. This is from Fiber Space. It's Cumulus, so it's a baby Surrey alpaca. I kind of bought this as a neutral because one of the other projects on my Make 9 is my Chrysalis Shawl by Lavagna Patricella. And I have tons and tons and tons of sock yarn. I know I definitely have a fingering weight yarn that I can use, but I don't know which one I want to use yet. But I figured this is going to go perfectly well with pretty much any lighter yarn. So I do have one kind of in mind. I'm not planning to start that shawl right away because, like I said, I've already got the hat on the needles, and then I want to do the Ridge UT. So I haven't really put that much thought into it yet, but I do have a candidate, and I figure this is going to go really nicely with it. So again, this is the alpaca silk. I do prefer that to the mohair silk. This is so soft. That's really nice. I have not used this before. I don't think I've ever used any yarn from Fiber Space before. I don't really know anything about them. Of course, the hand-dyed alpaca silk like this, like the King Fiber, what's it called, Melted Baby Surrey, and they're absolutely beautiful, but they're also a little bit pricey, and so I wanted to go a little bit more economical with this one. No, there's still more. So I, even though I am not doing new designs right now, I am still trying to resize some of my older garment patterns that did not really have a wide size range. So when I originally started designing, most of my sweaters have about 6 sizes, and I want to bump that up to at least 10. Although that reminds me that my tech editor is moving on to bigger and better things, and I'm going to need a new tech editor for that. But most recently, I had sent her a pattern for that I had resized for editing, and this is for my Going Steady cardigan. And this is a open front, really comfy cardigan that is a real kind of classic wearable piece. But I've never gotten a lot of wear out of mine because I designed it specifically for the yarn company. And so they picked the colors, and they're really just not my colors. And they, in addition to being not my colors, don't really go with much that I own. So I just hadn't gotten a lot of wear out of it. So I was already considering making a second sample, and then as I was doing the pattern update, I realized that the company actually appears to be out of business now. There's no announcement about that, but they, there's nothing in their shop. They're not on social media. I don't know anything about it. But it seems like they're out of business. So I figured, well, I was already thinking about making the new sample, and now the recommended yarn is gone, so what should I do? And again, I've got, plenty of other stuff on my plate, and this is it's designed to be a longer sweater, so that's a sizable yarn investment, and it's got some, small color blocks. So that's, you're probably gonna have to buy some extra skeins to get the color. So again, I wanted to go something a little bit more economical. And so I went ahead and ordered from Knit Picks. I have used this yarn before. This is their Simply Wool. This is a worsted weight that comes in all these natural colors. And I used this for the original Jaji sweater sample that I knit for my dad. And I thought this would be a good pick, so I went with these very neutral colors. So I've got this for the which is now falling apart, good job me, this for the all over color for the sweater, and these for the dew contrast colors. So they got this marl that is kind of actually a combination of these two, and then this nice sort of gray brown. So again, I really want this to be a kind of goes with everything sweater, easy to throw on, easy to match with your clothes, and I think these are good options for that. So I think that's going to be really cute. The pattern is of course now ready, and now I want to knit a whole new sample. Since I'm no longer designing, I'm not inclined to hire a sample knitter because there's no way re-releasing this pattern with a few extra sizes is going to earn me enough money to cover the cost of having an entire sweater knit. So I would like to start on that soon, but I'm not going to push it because it's not an absolute essential, but I do hope to get that done in the first half of this year, maybe. So I think that's it. That is all the new yarn I have to show you in this episode. Crystal ball, where I tell you about some new finds that I have put into my queue recently. So I finished my non-Euclidean socks for my Finish Fix Frog journey, and the prize that I had set up for myself was to buy a new sock pattern. So if you are doing the Finish Fix Frog, make sure you're setting up rewards for yourself and that you're actually getting them. I still owe myself a Starbucks, maybe tomorrow. I said that last time. So my reward was to buy a new sock pattern, and I happened to see this one on Ravelry. These are the Hibernation house socks. And I really love these. So cozy. They're really basic, but they're so cozy. They do hold a fingering weight with a lace weight mohair, lace weight alpaca, sorry, alpaca. It's optional, of course, but they really just do look so delightfully cozy. Of course, it is, it's no longer the time of year really for super cozy stuff. So again, I don't have any immediate plans, but it's definitely something I would love to have worked up by the late fall, early winter, hopefully maybe even for everyone in my family, my immediate family. But to be honest, my kids just they don't like socks. The little one doesn't like socks at all. I can barely, he will put socks on, to put shoes on, to go outside, and as soon as he's in, socks are off, the shoes are off, the socks are off. The dog's usually got the sock in her mouth because he just leaves it. He just does not like socks. The older one is a little better, but neither of them seem too inclined to wear socks, hand knit or otherwise, in any kind of weather. But I really think these are super cute and cozy. And I hope that I can find time to knit them this year. And then the other thing that is in my future knitting plans is, you guys know how much I love Fiber for the People yarn and the Wool Needles Hands podcast that Taylor does. And so it should not surprise you that basically every time I watch her podcast, I fill up my queue with whatever project she's working on. I don't know, she just makes them all look so good. So she had recently finished a pair of these Simple House slippers. And I really think these are adorable. And when I was in her last yarn club, the base I got was DK weight. And so I've got at least 3 skeins of her DK weight, which would be really good for these slippers. And there's also BFL, Blue Faced Leicester, which is a little bit of a sturdier yarn, which is going to be good for slippers in general. So I went ahead and grabbed the pattern. It looks odd in the picture because you can't really see what's going on, like how they're going to fit a foot. Actually, you know, sort of on that top edge with the garter, that's where your foot goes in. And then it doesn't come up that far around the foot. So you just get some garter kind of around the heel and ankle, and then the foot is the stockinette part. Presumably when I actually knit them, it'll be a lot easier to show you what I mean. So they look kind of odd when they're sitting flat, but when people wear them, they're really cute. Again, they're in a DK weight, so it's gonna be a fast knit. It's just is stockinette and garter stitch, nothing super fancy. This is definitely the kind of easy project that I love to have on my needles for just carrying around, grabbing, throwing in the car, things like that. You can see I'm not knitting today, and I'm talking with my hands a lot, and I'm not knitting because I don't have anything on the needles that doesn't require sort of looking and thinking. I've got, you know, a sweater with cables, I've got a brioche, and not like a plain brioche, I've got like a stitch pattern brioche, so I can't sit and do that. I need to work short rows on the socks for my dad, so I can't just sit here and do that. And I do really like to have something on the needles that is a easy, quick to pick up, easy to put down project. Don't have to spend a lot of time figuring out where you were. These are going to fit that bill. So I think these are probably going to hop on my needles sooner rather than later. Even with the warmer weather coming in the summer, we have to keep our air conditioning on pretty strongly to get the second floor of our house to be comfortable, and that makes the first floor of our house very chilly, which I know, like, horrible problems. And I grew up without air conditioning, so we didn't have central air. There was one air conditioner, it was in my parents' bedroom window. So I forever appreciate central air. In Maryland, I know there are hotter places in the world, but it is hot and humid here in the summer, and July and August are pretty miserable. And so you will never hear me complaining about air conditioning, central air, but it is just a fact that in order to get our second floor comfortable, our first floor stays pretty frigid in the summer, and I find myself like if I'm going outside, I'm wearing shorts. When I come in, I need to put on jeans and maybe even a sweatshirt. So I think the slippers are going to be really good for that. And again, these are kind of a whole family can get these, you know, easy. I don't remember how many sizes are in the pattern, but I think this is going to be a good kind of all-purpose pattern. And I do think I'm going to be starting these in the relatively near future. So maybe in the next couple of episodes, you might be seeing them hop on the needles. And that about wraps it up. That's all I have for you in episode 36 of the Hilo Stitch podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons who help keep this podcast up and running. If you would like to support the podcast and all of the other free content that is here on the Media Peruana Knits YouTube channel, then you can check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/mediaperuana and find out about all the perks and freebies and other goodies you can get when you support Media Peruana Knits. Show notes. I'm going to do them this time. Show notes with links to everything that I've talked about in this episode can be found at mediaperuana.com/HiloStitch. Here on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, I hope you will leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, share the video, all of which helps expand the reach of the YouTube channel and gets more people to see all of those great free tutorials and other goodies I have here for you. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Media Peruana, and I will see you next time.